The Phoenix on the Sword, presented by Creepy Misterey, based on the story by Robert E. Howard. In a world where kingdoms rise and fall by the might of the sword, one man, born of war and hardened by battle, sits upon a throne claimed by blood. But treachery lurks in the shadows, and dark sorcery seeks to unseat the king of Aquilonia. This story is presented by Creepy Misterey, and this is Robert E. Howard's tale of vengeance, power, and the supernatural, the Phoenix on the Sword. A kingdom in peril. Inside the royal palace of Aquilonia, King Conan sits upon his throne. The great hall is dimly lit by torches, casting flickering shadows across the stone walls. A map of the kingdom lies open before him, but his mind is elsewhere. He grips his sword, lost in thought. Conan, gruff voice, slightly weary. Ruling a kingdom is no easier than claiming one with the sword. These noblemen, they plot and whisper like snakes in the grass. They long for the days of their weak kings, men who bent their knees to power instead of seizing it. The camera shifts to a secret gathering place, a dark, candlelit chamber deep within the city. Ascalante, a power-hungry noble with cunning eyes, stands before a group of conspirators, including disgruntled lords and an assassin named Ronaldo. Ascalante, smirking, whispering to the assassins, "The barbarian king does not belong on the throne. He does not understand politics, nor the art of manipulation. He rules with brute force, and brute force can be undone. Tonight we strike. While he sleeps, he will breathe his last." The men murmur in agreement, their hands gripping their blades. The warning from beyond. The scene opens with an eerie, haunting silence in the royal chambers of King Conan. The massive stone walls seem to press inward, and the flickering torchlight barely pushes back the encroaching darkness. Outside, the city sleeps under the cold glow of the moon, unaware of the doom that stirs beneath its very foundations. Conan lies on his grand bed, but his sleep is not peaceful. His face, usually hardened like battle-worn steel, is tense, his brow furrowed as though locked in a struggle even in his dreams. Shadows dance strangely on the walls, as if something unseen moves through the chamber. Suddenly, the air turns frigid, mist curling along the stone floor. The torches in the chamber flicker wildly before dimming, their flames reduced to mere embers. Conan stirs but does not wake. The room is no longer empty. An ethereal figure emerges from the shadows, its form shifting between transparency and solidity. The figure is ancient, robed in flowing garments that shimmer like moonlight on water. His face is weathered, yet ageless, his eyes burning with unnatural fire. He is Epimetheus, a sage long thought dead, his spirit summoned from the void. Epimetheus, voice echoing, deep and resonant. "Conan, king of Aquilonia, hear me." Conan groans in his sleep, his breath heavy. His fingers twitch toward the sword resting beside his bed, but he does not wake. The vision deepens. The room shifts around him. Suddenly, Conan is no longer in his chamber but standing in an endless expanse of mist, the ground beneath him feeling as weightless as air. Before him, Epimetheus stands in full spectral form, his presence both commanding and unnatural. Conan, scowling, his deep voice laced with suspicion. "Who calls me from my slumber? If this is some sorcery, I will carve through it with my blade." Epimetheus, raising a hand, his voice calm yet urgent. "Steel alone will not serve you tonight, barbarian king." The vipers slither in the dark, their fangs poised to strike. The traitors you suspect do not merely whisper, they sharpen their daggers for your back. Conan's expression hardens. He has ruled Aquilonia for only a short time, but already, he has sensed the discontent brewing among the nobles. He had taken the throne by force, but keeping it has proven an even greater battle. Conan, gritting his teeth, "Let them come. They will find my sword thirsts as much as it did when I took this throne." Epimetheus, shaking his head, his eyes filled with knowing wisdom. "Your strength is great, but even the mightiest warrior cannot fight in the dark when death strikes from unseen places. There is one among them who wields more than a dagger, a shadow moves beyond. Mere steel and treachery, a sorcerer whose hatred festers like a plague. Thothamon has regained his lost power. At the mention of the name, Conan's fists clench. He had heard whispers of Thothamon, a Stygian sorcerer of fearsome reputation, but believed to be exiled, powerless. If the old wizard had reclaimed his magic, then this was no ordinary plot. It was something far worse. Epimetheus steps forward, his translucent form beginning to glow with a golden light. Conan watches warily but does not step back. Epimetheus, the gods do not often interfere in the affairs of men, but the fate of Aquilonia is greater than one throne. You have been chosen, Conan, not by the nobles, not by conquest, but by destiny. And destiny must be armed. The ancient sage extends a hand, and Conan's sword, still resting by his bed in the real world, begins to glow with a searing golden light. A symbol, ancient and powerful, etches itself into the steel. A phoenix, its wings spread wide, flames dancing along the blade's surface before settling into a faint, smoldering glow. Epimetheus, this is the mark of the phoenix, the fire of rebirth, the flame that no darkness can consume. When the hour of treachery comes, this blade will not break. It will burn through sorcery, through shadows, and through death itself. But beware, Conan, for the battle you face is no ordinary war. It is one of steel and sorcery, of treason, and something beyond mortal understanding. The mist around them swirls violently, the spectral realm shuddering as if a storm threatens to break through. Epimetheus' form flickers, his presence fading. Epimetheus, his voice growing distant. Awaken, King of Aquilonia, and be ready. Suddenly, Conan jerks awake, his breath heavy. His chamber is silent, the torches burning normally again. The mist is gone, but something has changed. His sword, now in his grip, still holds a faint, golden glow. The phoenix symbol remains etched into the blade, its presence undeniable. For the first time in a long while, Conan feels something more than the weight of the crown. He feels the weight of fate pressing upon him. He grips the sword tighter, his eyes narrowing. Conan, muttering to himself, voice like a storm rolling in. Let them come. The camera zooms in on the glowing phoenix symbol as the screen fades to black. Betrayal and bloodshed. Midnight. The palace halls are silent, save for the distant echo of torches crackling against stone. Ascalante and his conspirators move like shadows, their footsteps barely making a sound as they slip through the corridors, their blades gleaming in the faint light. Inside the throne room, Conan sits alone, seemingly lost in thought. His grip tightens around his sword, as if sensing the danger approaching. Ascalante grinning cruelly. The mighty Conan, waiting like a trapped beast. Conan, smirking, rising to his feet. Trapped? No, Ascalante. I was waiting for you. With a roar, Conan launches himself at the traitors. His sword moves like a flash of lightning, cutting down the first assassin in a single blow. The battle erupts, swords clash, blood spills. Conan fights with the raw power of a warrior king, cutting through his enemies like a storm of death. But the assassins are many, and even Conan begins to feel the strain. A dagger grazes his arm, blood dripping onto the cold stone floor. The monster unleashed. In the shadows, another figure watches, Thothamon, a fallen Stygian sorcerer. Once a powerful priest, he was forced into servitude when Ascalante stole his magical ring. But tonight, fortune favors him. He has reclaimed his lost power. Thothamon raises his hands, chanting in a language older than time. The air trembles, and the torches flicker wildly. Thothamon whispering incantation. From the abyss, I summon the beast of the dark. Feast upon my enemies and drink their souls. A monstrous, shadowy creature begins to form. A demon with burning red eyes and a body of writhing black smoke. It lets out a blood-curdling shriek and lunges. Ascalante barely has time to scream before the creature tears into him, ripping him apart like a rag doll. The conspirators panic, but it is too late. The beast is unleashed. Conan, still gripping his sword, watches as the creature turns its gaze toward him. The phoenix rises. The demon lunges at Conan. He raises his sword to strike, but the creature is faster, its claws raking across his chest. Blood spills, but Conan does not fall. The phoenix mark on his sword begins to glow, radiating a divine fire that illuminates the entire throne room. Conan, gritting his teeth, eyes blazing with fury. Steel and fire. This is how a king fights. With a final, mighty swing, Conan's blade cuts through the demon. A blinding flash of light erupts. The phoenix's power ignites the creature, consuming it in an inferno of divine energy. The beast lets out one final shriek before dissolving into ash. The throne room falls silent. The conspirators are dead. The demon is no more. Thothamon, sensing his failure, vanishes into the shadows, swearing revenge. Victory in fire. The scene opens in the grand hall of the Aquilonian palace, now a battlefield of shattered marble and blood-slicked stone. Torches flicker wildly, casting long, dancing shadows over fallen warriors and broken weapons. The air is thick with smoke, the acrid scent of burning oil and steel mingling with the coppery tang of spilled blood. Conan stands at the center of the carnage, his massive frame heaving with exertion. His sword, the phoenix blade, gleams with an unnatural golden glow, its edge dripping with the dark ichor of unnatural foes. His once royal tunic is torn and stained, revealing battle-hardened muscles covered in fresh wounds. His enemies lie at his feet, noblemen turned traitors, slain like the dogs they were. The final stand against Thothamon. A sudden hush falls over the battlefield. The surviving warriors on both sides turn their eyes toward the far end of the chamber. A cold, unnatural wind howls through the broken palace doors. From the darkness beyond, a tall figure emerges, Thothamon. The Stygian sorcerer is clad in flowing black robes, their silk-like fabric moving as though alive. His gaunt face is twisted with malice, his hollow eyes burning with eldritch power. In his hand, he holds a serpent-headed staff, its jeweled eyes glowing a sickly green. Thothamon, mocking, voice deep and echoing. So, the barbarian king still stands. Impressive. But do you truly believe you can defy the will of the serpent gods? You are but flesh and steel, Conan. I am power beyond mortal comprehension. Conan tightens his grip on the phoenix blade, his blue eyes burning with unshaken defiance. Conan growling. You talk too much, wizard. Let's see how your magic fares against steel. With a mighty roar, Conan charges, his sword arcing toward Thothamon's throat. But before the strike lands, the sorcerer raises his staff, and black tendrils of shadow erupt from the ground, twisting and snapping like demonic serpents. They wrap around Conan's arms, legs, and chest, holding him in place. The barbarian strains against the magical bonds, muscles bulging, but the shadows tighten like unbreakable chains. The sorcerer laughs, stepping forward. The dark ritual, Thothamon whispering in a dark chant. From the depths of the abyss, I summon the great serpent lord. Consume this barbarian and return me to my throne of power. The room trembles. The stone floor cracks and splits apart, revealing a gaping abyss. From within, a colossal serpent demon rises, its scales shimmering with an unholy darkness, its maw lined with rows of fangs that drip with venom. Its eyes glow like burning embers as it hisses, the sound rattling through the ruined palace like the whisper of death itself. Conan grits his teeth, feeling the immense heat of the abyssal energy. The dark magic tightens around him, his vision blurring. For the first time in his life, he feels the weight of true doom pressing upon him. The phoenix awakens, but then a light ignites. The phoenix blade, still gripped in Conan's bound hand, begins to burn with golden fire. The engraved phoenix symbol pulses, its fiery glow intensifying with every heartbeat. The warmth spreads through Conan's body, and the shadows restraining him recoil as though burned. Epimetheus' voice echoes in Conan's mind. The flame will not be consumed by darkness. The phoenix rises. With a final, defiant roar, Conan summons all his strength and shatters the dark bonds. The golden fire of the phoenix blade erupts outward, consuming the shadow tendrils. Thothamon staggers back, his face contorted in disbelief. Thothamon snarling, "Impossible! That sword!" Conan charging, his voice a battle cry of pure fury. "Burn in hell, wizard!" The phoenix blade slashes through the serpent demon's head, the golden fire searing through its dark flesh. The beast shrieks, its massive body writhing as it is engulfed in flames, its very existence unraveling into ash. Thothamon stumbles, his own power waning as his summoned abomination is destroyed. Conan does not hesitate. He lunges forward, driving the phoenix blade straight into Thothamon's chest. The sorcerer lets out a final, agonized scream as the fire consumes him from within, his body crumbling to ash. The hall is silent once more. The darkness fades, replaced by the flickering glow of the remaining torches. The floor, once cracked by dark magic, still bears the scars of battle, but the abyss has closed. The aftermath. Conan stands over the smoldering remains of Thothamon, breathing heavily. His grip tightens on the hilt of the phoenix blade, the weapon now glowing with a calm, steady light. The surviving warriors, both loyalists and former rebels, stare in awe. The nobles who had conspired against him are either dead or kneeling in surrender. They have seen the truth. The barbarian king is no mere usurper. He is chosen by destiny. Conan turns to them, his voice steady, unyielding. "Conan, Aquilonia does not belong to schemers or sorcerers. It belongs to those who fight for it, bleed for it. I took this throne with my sword, and I will keep it the same way. If any of you doubt that..." He raises the phoenix blade, its fire reflecting in their eyes. "Step forward and test my steel." The silence. None dare challenge him. The rebellion is broken, its leaders slain. The battle is over. Conan has won. As dawn breaks over the city, the flames of the night's battle still smolder in the streets. But the people look up, and in the golden morning light, they see a new banner raised over the palace. A crimson phoenix emblazoned on black, the sigil of a king who has risen from battle and fire, stronger than before. The legend of Conan, the phoenix of the sword, has only just begun. The screen fades from the burning battlefield to a slow, sweeping view of Aquilonia's grand city at sunrise. The crimson phoenix banner waves in the wind, a symbol of Conan's triumph. The battle is won, but the path of steel and fire never ends. Kings rise and fall, yet legends endure. And Conan, barbarian, warrior, and king, will forever be remembered as the phoenix of the sword. The camera slowly zooms out, showing Conan standing on the palace balcony, his sword still in hand. The golden glow of the phoenix blade dims as he sheathes it, but the fire in his eyes remains. A final gust of wind carries the echo of his battle cry through the mountains beyond. This story was presented by Creepy Misterey, bringing you the darkest myths, lost legends, and untold horrors of the past. If you enjoyed this tale of steel and sorcery, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more thrilling stories from the shadows of history.